The hum of the ship was soft and steady, like a heartbeat that never stopped. When Elias Kane opened his eyes, everything felt heavy. The light above him flickered, and for a few seconds he didn't know where he was. His mind was empty, like someone had wiped the slate clean. He tried to speak, but no words came. A calm, rhythmic tone filled the air. Machines around him beeped softly. A voice spoke from somewhere near the bed. It was warm, low, and gentle. "You're awake," it said. Elias turned his head. A woman stood beside him, though she didn't look fully human. Her skin had a faint silver glow, her hair shimmered with strands of light, and her eyes reflected blue rings, like ripples in a calm lake. She smiled, but it was the kind of smile that carried both hope and pain. "You might not remember me," she said softly. "My name is Saren." He blinked at her. The name meant nothing to him. His head throbbed as if something inside fought to surface, but couldn't. Saren moved closer. "You were injured during the jump," she explained. "Your memory pathways were damaged. But your body survived because of the link we share." Elias looked down at himself. Medical wrap covered his chest and shoulders. He saw faint glowing lines under his skin, pulsing in time with the ship's hum. "The link we share?" asked slowly, his voice rough and uncertain. Saren nodded. "Yes, you and I, we're connected. Not just by duty, but by design." He frowned. The words sounded strange, but something deep inside him reacted in echo he couldn't reach. "Resign?" he asked. She smiled again, a little sadly. "You saved me once. And in doing so, we became something neither human nor alien alone could be. Might not remember now, but you will." The room around them was circular, metallic, filled with floating lights and faint whispers of energy. The walls shifted color, as if breathing. Through the small viewing window, Elias saw distant stars moving slowly, a silent ocean of light beyond the glass. "What ship is this?" he asked. "Vigilant Hope," she said. "It's ours. It's Commander." "Or you were before the accident." He stared at her, trying to believe that. "Commander," he repeated, as if testing the word. It didn't feel real. Saren reached out and touched his hand. Her touch was warm, almost electric. The pulse beneath her skin felt alive. "Don't force it," she whispered. Memories return when the heart is ready to remember. The moment her fingers brushed his, the lights in the room dimmed slightly, and the steady rhythm of the ship matched the beat of his pulse. Something, deep inside him, stirred a flicker of emotion, like a distant song he used to know. Hours passed before he could sit up. Saren stayed near, quietly adjusting controls and checking readings. Every movement she made carried grace, like someone used to balancing two worlds. When he finally stood, his legs trembled, but she caught him before he fell. Her arms were strong, her presence grounding. "Easy," she said. "You've been asleep for weeks." Elias looked at her closely. There was something haunting in her eyes. They weren't just blue, they shimmered with tiny lights like stars trapped behind glass. "You said I saved you once," he said slowly. "From what?" She hesitated. "From extinction," she said. "From the war that almost erased my kind. You came when no one else would." He frowned. "And the others? The crew?" "They're still here," she said. "But they don't understand what you and I share. Some of them fear it." "Fear what?" "Fear connection," she said simply. "Fear the idea that two species could merge thought, emotion, and instinct. But that's what you did. You crossed a line most believed impossible." Her voice carried no pride, only memory. She guided him through the hallway outside the med bay. The ship's corridors were dim, filled with soft lights and the quiet hum of engines. Every few steps, Elias felt a pulse echoing through the floor, a rhythm that seemed to follow his heartbeat. They reached the observation deck. The stars outside burned bright, and a shattered ring of debris circled a blue nebula like frozen dust. "Where are we?" he asked. Saren's gaze lingered on the window. "We're at the edge of the wormhole collapse. You led the mission to close it. It saved thousands of worlds. But the energy wave, it tore through your mind." He tried to picture it, but couldn't. Only blankness. "Then why do I feel like the ship knows me?" She turned toward him. "'Cause it does. The Vigilant Hope was built from human steel and my people's living alloy. It listens to your biosignal. It listens to mine. Together, we give it balance. Elias stepped closer to the glass. The stars drifted silently beyond. You think my memory will return? I don't think, she said softly. I know. Later that cycle, he found himself standing in what looked like a personal cabin. The walls were lined with faint carvings, a blend of human script and alien glyphs. In the center stood a round table with a single crystal on it, glowing with slow rhythm. Saren entered quietly behind him. Do you remember this place? She asked. He shook his head. Should I? This was our planning room, she said. You called it the heart. Elias touched the surface of the crystal. Images flickered. Briefly, two figures standing side by side in battle armor, facing a burning sky. One was him, the other was Saren. The sight made his chest tighten, and for a second he heard her voice echo inside his head, whispering something he couldn't fully grasp. What was that? He asked, startled. Our link, she said gently. It's still alive, but fractured. The energy between us remembers what your mind forgot. Turned to her, confusion and awe mixing in his eyes. How can energy remember? She smiled faintly. Because it's not only energy, it's emotion. Memory is more than thought. It's feeling. Let me show you. Before he could reply, she stepped closer. Her hand rose slowly, stopping just over his chest. May I? She asked quietly. He hesitated, then nodded. Her palm touched his heart, and warmth spread through him instantly. The glow under her skin matched the faint light that pulsed through his own veins. The rhythm of two beings, one human and one alien, began to synchronize. He gasped. Flashes burst behind his eyes. Fragments of laughter, shouts, the sound of her calling his name through static, the flash of a starship breaking apart, his arm reaching for her hand. The memories vanished as quickly as they came, leaving him breathless. What was that? He whispered. Siren's eyes softened. A beginning, she said. Your body remembers before your mind does. Elias stared at her, feeling his heartbeat racing in perfect time with hers. You said we were connected, he said. Is this what you meant? I guess, she said simply. Our bodies talk, even when our words fail. He sat down slowly, trying to steady himself. Why me? He asked after a long silence. Would I do something like that, merge with another being? Siren looked at the window, the stars reflected in her eyes. Because you saw something no one else did? She said. You saw that we weren't enemies. You saw that any life is stronger when it shares itself. Her words carried warmth and sorrow. You told me once that humanity's greatest strength isn't power or logic. It's connection. It's the courage to feel. He let the words sink in. They felt strange yet right outside. The ship drifted through the debris of forgotten worlds, a small spark in endless night. Elias touched his chest again. The faint rhythm was still there, steady and strong. He looked at Saren. If I was brave enough to believe that once, he said quietly, then maybe I can learn it again. Right. She smiled, a true smile this time. GRDR, she said, as she turned to leave. The ship lights flickered once more softly, like a heartbeat responding to theirs. And for the first time since awakening, Elias didn't feel empty. He didn't know who he had been. But he could feel who he still was. The voice of the ship hummed through the air, syncing with their breath, their pulse, their unspoken bond. Somewhere inside the hum, he thought he heard her whisper again. Faint but clear. Let me remind you how our bodies talk. And this time, he understood. The next morning cycle on the Vigilant Hope began with soft light flowing through the corridors. Elias Kane walked slowly beside Saren as they made their way toward the ship's core. Every few steps, the hum of the vessel pulsed in rhythm with their footsteps. Like it was listening, his memory was still scattered. But fragments returned at strange moments, a voice shouting through a storm of fire. The feel of cold metal beneath his hands and flashes of blue light that looked like her eyes. Saren spoke gently as they walked. Your body is stabilizing now. The link is growing stronger again. That's good. It's good. He nodded slightly. I feel strange, he said. Like I'm remembering things I never lived. She looked at him with calm understanding. You are remembering shared moments, she said. Our minds were once joined through the soul link. Some of your emotions belong to me, and some of mine belong to you. It's what kept you alive. Elias frowned. That sounds impossible. Her lips curved into a small smile. Most things worth believing once sounded that way. They entered a circular chamber filled with tall silver pillars. Streams of light floated between them like living veins. Saren stepped up to a control panel made of smooth crystal and ran her fingers across it. The symbols glowed softly beneath her touch. This is the memory nexus, she said. It stores our shared data, everything we recorded together. It can help you recover faster. Elias approached one of the pillars. When he placed his hand on it, a wave of warmth moved through his arm. Images appeared above the surface, scenes from battles, alien cities, and faces he didn't recognize. He saw himself standing beside Saren, both wearing armor that shimmered with the same faint light as her skin. They looked like equals partners. He took a step back, breathing slowly. That was me? Yes, she said softly. That was us. What were we fighting for? Saren's eyes dimmed a little. For peace, she answered. For the chance that our species could share more than fear. You once said that if humanity and my kind ever truly understood each other, the stars would no longer feel cold. He turned his gaze to her. Did I really say that? Yes, and I believed you. Hours later, the ship shook. A deep alarm echoed through the halls. Elias grabbed a railing as the floor vibrated. Saren moved quickly to the console. An energy surge, she said. It's coming from the outer ring. Elias followed her to the observation deck. Outside, a bright light flared near the edge of the nebula. Fragments of metal and glowing shards drifted toward them. The ship's sensors flickered. What is it? He asked. Remnants of the wormhole, she said. Something's trying to open it again. He watched as the blue swirl expanded. His chest tightened. A strange pressure filled the room. A pull, like something calling to him. Saren noticed his expression. Elias. He pressed a hand against his chest. The faint light under his skin brightened. I can feel it, he whispered. It's calling my name. Her face grew serious. That's the resonance field, she said. It reacts to you because your energy sealed the wormhole before. If it recognizes you again, it might open or consume us. He turned to her. Then what do? We find the bond key, she said firmly. It's the device we built to stabilize the field. Without it, the ship can't survive another surge. Elias followed her through the winding corridors. The hum of the ship grew louder, as if the vessel itself was trying to warn them. They entered a chamber deep below the main deck, a storage bay. Filled with strange equipment and glowing orbs, Saren knelt beside a sealed container and pressed her hand on it. The lock responded to her biosignal, and the lid slid open. Inside rested a small crystal sphere, floating slightly above a metallic ring. It pulsed with golden light. The bond key, she said. This connects your bioenergy and mine into one field. It can stabilize the wormhole for a short time. Elias studied the sphere. We made this together? Yes, Saren said. It's more than a tool. It's a symbol of trust. You once told me that every great invention begins with two hearts daring to share one beat. He smiled faintly. Sounds like something I'd say. Before they could move, the ship jolted again. A voice came over the comms. Captain Arel, one of the senior officers. Commander Kane, this is the bridge. The wormhole's expanding faster. We need orders. Elias looked at Saren. What's our best chance? She answered calmly, You must activate the key through the link. I'll guide you. But it will strain your neural pathways again. He took a deep breath. If it saves the crew, it's worth it. She nodded, proud and afraid at once. Then let's begin. They reached the reactor chamber. The walls shimmered with streams of living light. In the center stood a column of pure energy, swirling like a miniature star. Elias and Saren stood before it. The rest of the crew watched from behind reinforced glass, unsure whether to trust her presence near the core. Saren ignored their stares. She turned to Elias. Place your hand here, she said, touching the base of the energy column. Now close your eyes. He did as she said. The moment his palm touched the surface, The light under his skin flared bright gold. Saren placed her hand over his, and instantly their energy fields connected. The air crackled around them. "Focus on me," she whispered. "Not on the noise, not on the pain. Just on us." Elias breathed deeply. He could feel her heartbeat through the link, steady, sure, and warm. Their pulses synchronized again, and the golden light spread through the chamber. The power field stabilized for a few seconds. But then a surge hit. The wormhole outside roared, and the entire ship trembled. Sparks danced across the walls. The crew shouted through the coms. Saren gritted her teeth, tightening her grip on his hand. "Stay with me, Elias. I'm trying," he gasped. Memories crashed into his mind, flashes of their first meeting. Her standing in the ruins of her world, reaching out to him as enemy soldiers surrounded her. He remembered taking her hand instead of pulling the trigger. He remembered saying, "If we destroy everything we don't understand, what will be left to protect?" His chest ached, not from pain, but from the return of something deeper, purpose. The bond key pulsed brighter, resonating with their connection. Energy waves spread outward, sealing the unstable tear in space. The ship steadied, and the alarms faded into silence. Slowly, the golden glow dimmed. Saren exhaled, her shoulders trembling slightly. Elias opened his eyes. The crew behind the glass stood frozen, watching in awe. "It worked," he said softly. She smiled faintly. "Because we worked," she replied. Later, the two of them stood alone on the observation deck again. Outside, the nebula was calm. Faint golden trails marked where the wormhole had once been. Elias leaned against the glass, tired but thoughtful. "I remembered something," he said quietly. "That day when we met, I remember choosing not to fight you." Saren looked at him, eyes shimmering with quiet joy. "That was the first time you changed everything," she said. "You turned an enemy into an ally. You gave me a reason to believe that humans could feel beyond fear." He nodded slowly. "Maybe that's why I fought so hard to close the wormhole. To protect that belief?" "Perhaps," she said softly, "but now you must protect yourself too. The more your memories return, the more the link will strain your body." He smiled gently. "You worry too much. And you forget too, Izzy," she teased, her tone light but caring. For a moment, silence filled the room. The stars outside glowed softly, painting her silver skin in shades of blue and gold. "Saren," he said after a while, "when you touched my heart in the med-bay ... when you said those words, what did you mean?" She turned toward him, her expression calm but deep. "It's something my people say when memories fade," she explained. "When words fail, we remind each other that the body remembers what the mind forgets. The rhythm of life never lies." He met her gaze, feeling that rhythm again, faint, pulsing between them. "The same as the ship's hum." "Then maybe," he said softly, "you should remind me again someday." Saren smiled, a light blooming in her eyes. "I will," she promised. "But when I do, you'll have to remember who you really are." Elias turned his eyes back to the stars. Somewhere in that endless sky, he could almost feel the echo of who he had been, not just a soldier or a commander, but someone who had believed that two hearts could speak without words. The vigilant hope drifted quietly through the void, carrying their shared pulse into the silence between galaxies. The vigilant hope drifted quietly through the blue light of the nebula. The ship's wounds were healing, just like the people aboard. Yet beneath the calm hum of the engines, tension remained. Commander Elias Kane stood near the viewing deck, watching the stars ripple like waves across glass. Every time he closed his eyes, fragments of his past returned Saren's voice through static, his hand reaching toward her in a collapsing world. The sound of a promise whispered across fire and silence, but still, something was missing. Saren entered the room, her soft steps echoing lightly. She carried the same calm grace as before, though her eyes seemed more distant now. "The wormhole field is stable," she said quietly, "but its energy won't last long. The resonance is fading." Elias turned. "Meaning, if it collapses again, the shock wave will reach nearby colonies." Millions could be at risk, she said. We need to reignite the field one last time to close it forever. He frowned. Didn't we already seal it? Yes, Saren said, but only temporarily. The energy we used came from our link. It bought us time, not peace. Elias walked closer. Then we'll finish it together. She hesitated. Her voice softened. If we do this again, the link might not survive. One of us may not either. He looked at her steadily. You said once that our bodies remember what the mind forgets. Then let's remind the galaxy why we fight to protect life. Her lips curved faintly, sadness behind the smile. You haven't changed, she said. Even when your memories were gone, your heart stayed the same. Later that day, the ship's crew gathered in the command chamber. The bridge lights dimmed as Saren projected the wormhole's image above the holotable. It shimmered like a wound in space, flickering between blue and gold. Captain Arel stepped forward. His face was tense. Commander, with all respect, are you sure about this? The crew's barely recovered from the last surge. Elias met his gaze calmly. If we do nothing, the next surge will erase entire systems. We stop it here, in the alien. Arel's tone was sharp. With all due respect, sir, she's the reason this technology exists. How do we know it won't destroy us? Saren stood quietly beside Elias, saying nothing. The distrust in the room hung heavy. Elias' voice stayed firm. She saved this ship twice already. She's my second in command. You'll follow her orders like mine. The silence that followed was thick, but no one argued. Leadership had weight, and his tone left no space for doubt. Saren gave him a small nod of thanks as they prepared for the final sequence. Saren guided him back to the energy chamber, the same place where they had once joined their link. This time, the golden crystal, the bond key, floated above the reactor like a small star. Its glow flickered weakly. We'll have to merge deeper this time, Saren explained. Full resonance alignment. It will require everything we have. Elias took a breath. Then we give it everything. She stepped closer, her expression calm yet fragile. When I said our bodies talk, it wasn't just a saying, she said softly. It means that life communicates through rhythm, heartbeat, breath, pulse. If we lose that rhythm, the universe falls silent. He nodded. Then we'll keep it alive. They moved to opposite sides of the energy core. Lights surrounded them, scanning their biosignatures. The crew watched from behind the safety glass, hands ready on controls but hearts uncertain. Saren raised her hand first. Ready? Elias lifted his. Always. Their palms met on the shimmering surface of the core, and instantly the chamber blazed with golden light. The air vibrated, filled with low, resonant hums like distant singing. The pulse spread through the ship, through every wire and wall, synchronizing the systems with their heartbeat. Elias felt his thoughts merging with hers again. Oft, endless waves of memory washing through him. He saw her childhood beneath alien skies, her world burning, her decision to trust a human stranger who should have been her enemy. He saw himself holding her hand, refusing to leave her behind. He felt every word, every emotion, every echo of connection that had built this fragile bond. Saren's voice echoed gently inside his mind. You remember now? I do, he whispered. I remember everything. The wormhole outside began to stir again, sensing their power. Blue and white lightning danced across the void, pulling the vigilant hope closer. The alarms blared, but neither of them moved. Elias focused. The link grew brighter. Saren's energy flowed through him, warm and alive. The light around them twisted into a spiral, connecting to the wormhole beyond. The ship groaned under the pressure. Almost there, Saren said. Her voice trembled, not from fear, but from the strain of holding too much energy at once. He felt her weakening. Her pulse flickered against his. Stay with me, he said firmly. She smiled faintly through the light. If one of us must fade, it should be me. You're human, you still have a world to go back to. He shook his head. No, we finish this together. The energy spiked outside. The wormhole folded in on itself, layers of space collapsing like closing petals. But inside the chamber, the power grew too intense. Sparks of golden flames circled them. The ship's systems began to overload. Saren gasped. "Elias, the core can't hold." "Then I'll hold it," he said. He reached out, pressing his other hand over hers, grounding their link completely. The golden light surged, filling the chamber so bright the crew behind the glass had to shield their eyes. For a heartbeat, everything went silent. Then, like a final breath, the wormhole imploded, its light folding into nothingness. The stars outside returned. The danger was gone. The crew erupted in relief, but inside the chamber, Saren's body was faintly glowing, her strength fading. Elias caught her before she fell. Her eyes opened weakly, their blue rings dim. "You did it," she whispered. "We did it," he said softly, holding her close. She smiled. "Our link. It's fading." The energy needed balance. It took what it needed. He tightened his arms around her. "You're not leaving me again." Her fingers touched his face gently. "Even if I go, the rhythm remains. You'll feel me in every heartbeat, in every hum of the ship. That's how our bodies talk." Tears burned behind his eyes, but he forced a smile. "Then talk to me again tomorrow." She laughed faintly, a sound that seemed to echo through the air. "Tomorrow is already here." The glow around her brightened once, warm and soft like a sunrise. Then it faded slowly, dissolving into threads of golden light that drifted into the reactor core. The hum of the ship steadied, peaceful, and alive. Hours later, the ship was quiet. The crisis had passed, but the crew moved carefully, speaking in hushed tones. Some said the alien was gone. Others said she had become part of the ship itself. Elias walked the empty corridors alone, his hand brushing the walls as if feeling for a heartbeat. And there it was, a faint rhythm beneath the metal. Steady and strong, he reached the observation deck and stared at the stars. They were calm again, the nebula glowing with soft gold like a memory written across the sky. He spoke softly, his voice breaking the silence. "Saren, you said the body remembers. Then remember me too." The ship's hum deepened slightly, and for a brief second, the lights flickered in the same pattern as their heartbeat once had. Elias smiled. "I knew you were still here." Days turned into weeks. The vigilant hope returned to human space. Reports called him a hero, the commander who saved the colonies from collapse. But Elias didn't care for titles. He spent his hours rebuilding the ship's systems, listening to its hum, feeling the faint warmth that moved through its core. Sometimes, at night, when the stars outside were silent, he heard a whisper through the static of the comms. A gentle, familiar voice saying, "Let me remind you how our bodies talk." And when that happened, he'd place his hand on the wall and close his eyes. The pulse beneath his fingers would answer, soft and real, like a promise kept beyond life and time. He no longer felt empty. The blank space in his mind was gone. What filled it now wasn't just memory, it was connection, the kind that no distance could erase. Because somewhere within the heart of the vigilant hope, Saren's essence still lived, guiding the ship through the endless dark and as long as the stars shone. Their rhythm, the rhythm of a human and an alien who refused to be divided, would continue to echo forever.